Which actor crushed a role so hard that nobody else will be able to live up to it? Jessica Walter in Arrested Development. And Archer. Her mean mom character dynamic is gold. It's one banana. Michael. What could it cost? $10. I'd rather be dead in California than alive in Arizona. I don't care for gob. Leslie Nielsen as Frank Drubin. And Frank Drubin as Enrico Palazzo. Who are you? And how did you get in here? I'm a locksmith. And I'm a locksmith. Ron Swanson. There is no Nick Offerman. There is only Ron Swanson. And Duke Silver. This is a funny comment considering how little Ron and Nick's personality overlap. Nick even sings a song where he says one of the only things he and Ron have in common is that they're both attracted to women who look like Megan Mullally. Tim Curry. Frank Enfurter. Anyone else in the role knows they never live up to that Shreksy god of a man. I Can Make You a Man is the most brilliant filthy scene to appear on cinema screens while people aren't nude : Tim Curry is anything. Furter, Worstworth, Hexxus, Cherdenko, all gold. Michael Keaton in Beetlejuice. Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague and had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention you're taking to a dead guy. So what do you think? You think I'm qualified? Nice frickin' model. Danny Trejo as Machete. I'm pretty sure Machete was just a film crew following around Danny Trejo on a Tuesday. Catherine O'Hara as Moira Rose. She took that role and made it her bebek. I don't know what's better, her vocabulary or her wardrobe, her pronunciation and confidence. In the lee of a picturesque ridge lies a small, unpretentious winery, one that pampers its fruit like its own babies. Hi, I'm Moira Rose, and if you love fruit wine as much as I do, then you'll appreciate the craftsmanship and quality of a local vintner who brings the muskmelon goodness to his oak Chardonnay, and the dazzling peach Krall, Bapple to his Riesling Rioja. Come taste the difference good fruit can make in your wine. You'll remember the experience and you'll remember the name. Herberflinger, Bert Hernchief. I've heard Blinger, Bing Liverhanger, Liverling, Bert Herkern, Ban Bingoling Fricker. Imelda Staunton as Dolores Umbridge. Umbridge sucked in the books, but in the movies she turned Umbridge into a character that you just don't like into one that you hate with a burning passion. She was so annoying, I love it, LMAO. She really did nail the part. I'm surprised people aren't also mentioning Maggie Smith as McGonagall in that same series. Also Alan Rickman as Professor Snape. I can't even picture anyone else playing that role. He's exactly what I pictured reading the books as a kid, and the way he delivers his lines is perfect. If an actress manages to make her character the most hated in a franchise, more so than the main villain, you know she made a damn great job. Can't recall where I read this, but a while back I came across someone explaining why she was worse. Voldemort is a monster, but we don't get a lot of straight-up monsters in our day-to-day lives. Whereas almost everyone has met an Umbridge. Someone with power, even just the smallest piece of it, who enjoys being petty and cruel just for the sake of it, for the pleasure it gives them. She exists outside the books in so many ways, whereas Voldemort just doesn't. Jeff Goldblum as Jeff Goldblum. I joke that Jeff Goldblum doesn't act. He just sorta shows up on set after leafing through the script and makes it work with his awkward charm. Maybe he's just always acting. Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. The best part of Alien and Aliens. The hero is a woman and no one cares. Any one man or woman would follow Ripley to the ends of the earth. Christopher Lloyd as Doc in Back to the Future. It's the role he was born to play. Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly in Back to the Future is another one as well. They literally shot half of the movie with a different actor, Eric Stoltz, and it just wasn't working. They had to start shooting the movie over from the very beginning. It was a bet that definitely paid off, though. Ian McKellen is the one true Gandalf, both true Gandalfs. To be honest, all the core cast of Lord of the Rings are amazing. Like every single part is cast and played so well. Can you believe the part of Aragorn almost went to Nicolas Cage? Okay, so a slight edit. Nicolas Cage wasn't ever far in the process. He was just one of the first choices the studio had, and I believe it got as far as talking about a contract. but he had other movies to participate in. Can you believe that Gandalf was almost played by Sean Connery? I find that more surprising than Nicky Cage's Aragorn. They offered Connery a cut of what the movie would have made. Had he accepted, Connery would have made circa $750 million. James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano. Woke up this morning. Got some gabagool. What no fricking ZT. He's hoping his son can do the role justice. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator. Weird to think that role almost went to O.J. Simpson. He only allegedly terminated people. If the clothes, boots, and motorcycle don't fit, you must acquit. Give me your sports memorabilia if you want to live. Sir Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Ronald Lee Ermey as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket. I want to add Vincent D'Onofrio to this list, but I don't know that he crushes roles. It's more like he disappears into them. His performance as the bug-controlling Edgar in Men in Black really is impressive. That was him. Damn, I should rewatch that now. He's also Thor in The Adventures in Babysitting. Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling. I particularly love the scene where she looks at Buffalo Bill's victim and you hear her voice crack during the first part of the description, where she is looking at tiny personal details like painted fingernails, but then go clinical and determined when she sees the wounds on the girl's back. Playing badass women often veers either towards emotionless and stalwart, or basically aping a 80s action male role. Foster nailed the emotional vulnerability, ambition, and courage of that character in minute, but profound ways. No one compares. Absolutely spot on. I don't know shoot about acting, but I know she was 100% convincing in that role. Right down to the subtle pure West Virginia accent that sounded like a person who was trying to not sound like she was from West Virginia. So freaking good. Since you mentioned Silence of the Lambs, how about Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill? His voice was perfect for that part. And it goes without saying that Anthony Hopkins nailed Dr. Hannibal Lecter. There's a reason he won Best Actor despite only being on screen for, 16-ish minutes. Christina Ricci as Wednesday Addams. I'd also expand on that to say that Angelica Houston was perfectly cast as Morticia. She was perfect in that part, as was Raul Julia. Yeah, no disrespect to John Astin, but Raul Julia was just something extra as Gomez. Hugh Laurie, Dr. House. Hugh Laurie is also a very accomplished blues musician, which led to my favorite exchange in Colbert show history. Hugh, who is British. The blues are the greatest gift America has given to the world. Stephen, do you know the greatest gift Britain has given the world? America. John Malkovich in being John Malkovich. Honestly, it's a bananas concept to play yourself in. How do you wrap your head around it? He's not an outright caricature, but it's definitely a somewhat fictionalized version of himself. But it wouldn't be the same with anyone but him. Such an odd movie. My favorite bit of trivia from that film is that Spike Jonze used to stop takes and direct Malkovich by saying, "I don't think John Malkovich would react like that." Johnny Depp and Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow. Patrick Stewart as Professor X. And everyone knew it would happen a decade before the first X-Men movie. He said he was unfamiliar with X-Men when they approached him about the role. When they showed him the comics, his first thought was, why am I in a comic book that I've never heard of? Because between him and Sir Ian McKellen, it led to one of the greatest romances in modern Western history. Rainn Wilson as Dwight Schrute. Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. He's so deeply connected to that character that I feel it would be impossible for anyone else to fill the fedora. I wonder if River Phoenix could have stepped up it if he hadn't died. He nailed his role as young Indiana in The Last Crusade. Danny DeVito's Frank Reynolds is the best piece of casting this century. I remember seeing an interview with Glenn Howerton and the interviewer asked if Danny is just Frank turned down a notch. Glenn replied that Frank is Danny turned down several notches. Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister. Amazing acting. Thank you all for my very first awards. Dinklage is an incredible actor. I thought the book Tyrion was hideously ugly while Dinklage is handsome. Yes, he was supposed to be. Dinklage did such a masterful job recreating the character, though. I can hardly fault the choice. So many from GOT. Another one that springs to mind is Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister. I will never see Charles dance as anyone but Tywin Lannister. Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean. I would hope no one else would try to pull off Mr. Bean since he made up the character. His original description of the character was painfully British. Robin Williams as the genie. Fun fact, according to his biography, that role was written specifically for him. Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus in Gladiator. I have never hated a character so much till I saw him in that movie. He is so cowardly, despicable, and creepy. Phoenix did such a good job in making you loathe his character. As a kid, I literally thought I hated Phoenix as an actor whenever I see Gladiator. Now, I realize I love his acting and just hate Commodus so much. Same. He absolutely killed that role. He did such an amazing job of making me hate the character that it took a while for me to disassociate him from the role. Jack Gleeson used him as the main inspiration for Joffrey Baratheon in GOT. Jack Gleeson played Joffrey incredibly well. It is hard to be so perfectly hateable, especially since Gleeson has a reputation of not being like that at all in real life.